Finish in this section. Yesterday we started completing the square and we had the steps down there. I think I can get the steps in there. There's the steps. And remember, completing the square is used for equations that can't be factored. You know, before you could solve this by factoring if the equation could be factored. But this one, 5 only has multiples of 1 and 5. Factors of 1 and 5. And that won't add up to 2. So factoring wouldn't work for this one. So the other method, completing the square. Now, I don't know if you noticed yesterday, all of the problems that I assigned you yesterday, they had a coefficient of 1 out here on the square term. And so all the steps work nice and fine if there's a coefficient of a 1 out here. But today we're going to look at what happens if there's a coefficient of 1. So, the first step we need to do get the x squared coefficient to be 1. So if that first coefficient is not a 1, you need to get it to be a 1. Well, if this is 2 times y squared, how are we going to get rid of the 2 in front of the y squared if it's times? What's the inverse? Say that again. Divide. So what you're going to need to do is divide every single term by 2. Divide every single term by 2. What do you get here? Y squared. What's this going to be? 1y. Still equal to 0 there, right? Once you have that, the only additional step then is going to be to divide by whatever that coefficient is in front of the square term. And then we're just going to go through the steps like we did from yesterday. So get the y squared and the y to one side alone. That means I have to get rid of the 5 halves. How do you get rid of the 5 halves? Y squared plus y equals negative 5 halves. Step 2, take half of the x coefficient. Well, in this case, it's a y coefficient. Here's the y right here. What is the coefficient on it? Don't we assume it's a 1? So you want to take half of 1. What's half of 1? A half. You take half of it and you square it. Well, what's 1/2 squared? That's 1 squared and 2 squared. What is 1 squared? What is 2 squared? So what are we going to add to both sides? A 4. And it's going to seem weird because it's fractions. And I know we get our undies in a bundle about fractions, our knickers in a twist. But that's okay. So we take this 1 right here, and we take half of it. Half of 1 is a half, and then you square it. 1/2 squared is 1 squared over 2 squared, 1/4. And then it says we factor it and solve it. So we're going to factor it. Y and Y. Can I let you in on a little hint? Instead of trying to figure out what this factors into, it always factors into whatever it was when you took the half before you squared it. So it's going to factor into 1/2 and 1/2. 1/2 and 1/2. What signs? Oh no. Over there you got to get a common denominator. What's your common denominator? 2 times 2 is 4. So we have to multiply the top by 2. Looks like -10. So here's what I have, I think. On the left side, it looks like I have a y plus 1/2 and another y plus 1/2. That's y plus 1/2 squared. On this side, I have -10/4 plus 1/4. Oh, does someone want one?
No, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Go to the office and say you're buying a ticket from Mrs. May. Mr. Wickman said I could buy one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And come back if they say no. Let me know. So don't I've got a y plus 1/2, and I've got another y plus 1/2. That's y plus 1/2 squared. And then -10/4 plus 1/4, what was that? Right, good, yes, -9/4. Now what? Square root. Next is square root, square root. And on the left side, square and square root cancel. It's just y plus 1/2 equals, over here, square root -1, square root 9, square root 4, right? Don't forget, when you're solving, you also have to do the plus and minus when you take the square root. What's the square root of 9?
3.
So plus and minus 3 over square root of 4 is, and square root of -1, So we're almost done. What's the last step? You got to get y by itself here. So get rid of the 1/2. And what does that look like then? This goes away. You just have y equals -1/2. Put the real part first. And then the imaginary plus and minus 3i over 2. Woo! And by the way, how many answers is that? 2. It's -1/2 plus 3i over 2. That's one answer. And it's -1/2 minus 3i over 2. Those are your 2 answers. They don't look as pretty as they did when we did factoring, x is 3, x is -5. Now it's -1/2 plus minus 3i over 2. It's kind of a pain. It's kind of odd looking, but you still get answers. And it's the same process as we did yesterday. It's just that now you're going to have a fraction. Not all the time. They all won't work out to be fractions, but some will. And so whatever this coefficient is, you take half of the coefficient and then you square it. And I get 1/4. Remember, it always will factor into what you took when you took half of it. Does that make sense? Do you think I need to do another one, or do you think you have it? Do you have questions? Do you have it? Do you have it? Well, I'll be in my office and you can ask me questions then. I'll be in my office and you'll be able to ask questions. So we're going to start with 21. I think I'm just going to give you 4 because these take a little bit longer. I forgot what page already. 310, 21, 22, 23, 24. Oh, there we go.